Big day, big week. We got ADP, we got jobless claims, and tomorrow is the monthly report. What are you thinking?
Well, we're probably going to see a really healthy gain in the top line, about 155,000. Unemployment rate's going to hold steady around 3.5%.
Right.
Wages going to continue to be a bit sluggish, about 2.9% year over year, 0.3% monthly gain.
I like saying 3% year over year. Every time it dips below that 3%.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why I feel badly, because the truth of the matter is it's still really great. It's been a great few years, right?
We really saw a pickup after a long period of wage growth below 2%.
Right.
So that's the relief. Now, at this stage of the business cycle, we should be up above 4%. When you compare this to past cycles, it's not so good.
What's the breakdown in the wage growth? Because it's my understanding that the younger folks, right, the millennials are having up there at a higher rate of wage growth, right?
Well, because they have a higher rate of education, 40% of them or so have got college degrees.
Okay.
So you should expect them to see
Right.
better wage growth. Really what you're seeing is wage growth at the very bottom end, linked to the movement to $15 an hour wage in the 25 big metros. All right, that's where you've seen the real improvement over the last year.
Yeah.
That's why consumer confidence is so high, because this group who's been left behind is finally seeing a little bit of improvement in the income bottom line now.
And we're seeing some records for minorities.
Yeah,
I mean, that kind of stuff I love to hear.
Yep,
I love
that's
to
all
hear
good.
Full employment. I love people off of welfare and food stamps and getting real jobs, and that kind of stuff I love. It empowers Americans.
Well, we've brought a lot of people back off the sidelines. I think we've learned a lot, that there's a lot more labor slack in the economy, which translates through to policy and means the Fed doesn't have to hike rates because they're not worried about inflation going up. And that's really an interesting thing. Now, the second part of this is tomorrow, you're going to see a benchmark revision, which is going to reduce employment by about 500,000. That's going to play into the larger discussion about why wage growth's been so soggy.
Mm-hmm. What is this revision more about? Tell us a little more about that.
So between April 2018 and March 2019, we get these every year.
Yeah.
We're going to see what's called a benchmark revision, and you're going to see job losses and job gains in some cases in the different categories. In the retail category, you're going to see an enormous one, a loss of 150,000. In information, should be up just over 30,000. I think both of those grossly underestimate the gains and losses. This is probably going to get politicized, unfortunately, tomorrow, because we have an election in front of us. But I think the more important narrative is what it means about wage growth, what it means about inflation, and just how long can the Fed be accommodative.
And Dallas Fed President Robert Kaplan was out talking about solid U.S. growth, and that 2.25% is about right, and it would be stronger if it weren't for Boeing and coronavirus. Do you agree with that?
All right, so in the first quarter of this year, Boeing and then the coronavirus are going to provide a drag on U.S. growth. Boeing's a much bigger problem than the coronavirus is for the United States. That shut down a 737 MAX production. It's going to shave around 0.5% off growth.
And today we got some new news that at least Bloomberg was reporting that there is yet another software problem. So we had one piece of good news that it looked like it was closer than it appeared to go forward with some of the paperwork, and now we're hearing about a glitch. So this, as far as investors are concerned and the economy, you're saying this weighs.
Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving. You're going to have to look past first quarter growth. It's just not going to look good. We'll see if we get back to near trend, which based on the productivity numbers, around 1.7%. As long as we're above that, I'm very happy with growth.
Tell me more about the consumer and consumer sentiment, because the ISM number finally came back. I mean, the worry was the manufacturing part, but the consumer has remained strong. Break those two items down.
All right, so consumer sentiment's largely based on, or predicated on two things: unemployment and the price of gasoline. Unemployment is a historic low, and the price of gasoline's been falling. When you get that sort of economic mix, you're going to see historically high consumer confidence rates. And plus, household balance sheets just have looked better than they have in decades. And so you've got a middle-class consumer who's probably willing to leverage up a bit to get that new car, to replace some of those durable goods, the washing machines, the computers.
And this goes for the next 6 months. This is your outlook for the next 6 months, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the consumers, look, if it wasn't for the consumer, the economy would have went into recession during the worst part of the trade conflict. The consumer has just propped up the economy, and I don't see any reason why the disruptions around Boeing any temporary slowdown linked to the coronavirus should knock the economy really that far off of its long-term trend.
Give me a few adjectives to describe your outlook as a pro in the economy world, to describe the next 6 months.
You're going to see modest growth without any disturbances to unemployment or inflation, and that's exactly where you want to be.
Right, and the fact that we're hearing from China today, right, they're cutting off those retaliatory tariffs that they had put in place. I mean, we know that they've got to make some moves because they're struggling a little bit.
And this is something where traders really...
Is this good for us?
Yeah, this is something where traders really want to watch this closely, okay? The Chinese put out an olive branch today to the United States because they need some flexibility around their hitting the purchase targets. Now, Mr. Mnuchin, I think today, he said something that's not really linked to price logic. If you've seen the decline in soy prices over the last number of months, the volatility over the last 7 to 10 trading days, they're not going to be able to meet those targets. Price of soy has collapsed. So the United States is going to have to manage this. Now, this is one of the things, as an economist, I like free trade. I don't like managed trade because it creates uncertainty. So traders really got to be aware of the risks around that and watch the political rhetoric just as closely as it watches soy prices.
I want to bring and pick your mind on something else. U.S. mortgage rates slide to the lowest level since July of 2016. I saw that headline today. You know, I saw rates dropping, but I just didn't really put it together that now we are sort of hitting some key levels.
Oh, no, this is really important, right? If you own a house, you need to go refi that. Get that extra couple $100 a month and do it right now.
Now.
Do it right now because we had a unnaturally large decline in rates over the past couple of weeks linked to the risks around the coronavirus. I mean, a jumbo at 3.6%. I saw a 30-year fixed at 3.49. You just think about that, you know, here in New York City, in Chicago, an apartment costs $1 million. Think about if you're borrowing that at that, I mean, that is in your favor long term.